So what's up, everybody? This is Ruben Garcia, and this is a beautiful day. And today on the Proven by Ruben podcast, we have Blake Ginther. What's up, brother? How are you, man?
Great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. All right, so if you could tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz.
Okay. I'm Blake Ginther. I got into real estate in 2003, started in New York City, moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, end of 9, and started my second half of my journey there in basically the beginning of 10. And I've grown my business to about 75 million, 330 some units a year, and we're 19 folks on my team.
Whew, 19. How many of those are the operations side?
5.
5 of the operations side. Yeah, you got a pretty big business going on.
Yes, and it needs to be bigger.
Yeah. So that's interesting, and thank you so much. Blake came today to mastermind with a lot of our agents today, and he mentioned that. He mentioned how big his business has to get. Now, the cool thing is why? Why does it have to get so big?
So I said earlier that I said 2 years ago that I didn't want a big team, and honestly, that was very selfish because I thought a big team meant management,
right?
Of
that's
a lot
what
of people.
You hear most often.
And I'm not sure I can say definitively that there's not truth to that, right? Except for the fact that I said this a little earlier, if you want to create big opportunities for folks, for real talent, you have to grow it. You just have to allow it to grow.
Yeah.
Or you're holding them back, and if you hold others back, talented people won't be held back.
That's right.
So if you don't grow, then you're not allowing them to grow within your world, and they'll grow outside of it.
Yeah. Why do you think people have challenges with that? So when a talented person wants to grow a little bit further, why do you think the leader or the person who started the business may have a challenge with allowing them to excel or get past their current job title?
So we use the word scarcity a lot.
Yeah.
That certainly is a word that can be used for some situations.
Yeah.
I think confidence. I think it takes a lot of confidence to know. There are people who are going to be better than you at it.
Yeah.
And if you want to grow a big world, you've got to find them. You need people who are better than you.
Yeah. That's right.
And if you're not confident enough to be comfortable with that, then you won't grow a bigger world.
Right.
And you're doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. And I've even heard one time that it said, don't replace yourself. You need to find someone who's going to crush you. And right there is a little bit uncomfortable, like, oh man, they're going to outshine me. But what's the point of replacing you? That means you're just going to stay at the same level that you were at.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, unless you have an identical twin,
right,
you can't be replaced.
Right.
Even then, it's funny. One of my top loan officers has an identical twin, and she's her loan processor, and they're like not at all the same, right? She couldn't replace her.
Even the
identical twin. It's funny how that works, but I agree 100% with the replacement mindset.
Right.
A lot of talented people go, yeah, I got to get out. I got to replace myself, and that is you're setting yourself up for failure, in my opinion, if you've got to be out by X.
Right.
Because
so you mean putting a time when you want to be out of that position or out of that business?
How often do we hear agents say, I want to be out of the business. I got to replace myself. I want to be out.
Right.
That's not something like, in my opinion, you can do it, and you'll probably do it with some of the wrong people if you go that direction.
Right.
Or you stay confident and build an abundance.
Right.
And then when the talent becomes apparent, you get out of the way.
Right. So do you think, the people who put an end game on just getting out of the business, do you think it kind of, in a way, twists their arm to put the wrong people in the business because they're just so focused on that date to get out of the business?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. And look, sometimes that doesn't mean that, like, through failure they won't get it right.
Right.
They'll find somebody else, and eventually they'll get it right. I think best way to do it would be to have an abundance mindset, build just a crew talent, and
Right.
then when the talent shows itself, you get out of the way.
So when did you know in your business that like, oh, whoa, this is that talent thing that they're talking about. Oh, it's pushing me a little bit. When did that first hit in your business or for you? Or did you miss it and lose them?
No, my first, I've definitely lost talent.
Yeah.
I think somebody's lying if they say they've never lost talent.
Yeah.
I would say that for me, the biggest get out of the way was my currently listing agent. When we would go on listings, I definitely felt like she built better rapport. She was following my words, my script better than I was. It was apparent to me that it was her one thing, and it was not mine, and hadn't been probably,
Right.
if I'm being honest, for a while. So when a talented person is better than you using your own words, right? And it's apparent it's her one. It was her one thing, and
Yeah.
she made me go, oh yeah, I think I need to get out of the way.
Right. And did you get out of the way or
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
I mean,
You took
did I
quick-
like jump out of the way?
Yeah.
No.
No, you're kinda
But
like
I mean, I
moonwalked out of the way?
moved out. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I sidestepped out of the way.
Yeah. Cool. And now you're seeing her crush it at a super high level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So what else are you doing? I mean, are you just in the real estate game, or is there, or just for your group, right? Your real estate team, or is there other things you're looking at?
So, I think it was Seth Campbell said the enemy of next is the enemy of now, and I think that's an awesome phrase.
Okay.
And
Get deeper on that for me.
I am a next person. I'm always
Right.
thinking of next. I
Yeah.
remember, and I blame my father because when I was young, he would always like, Blake, you got to have one eye and forward and one eye backward. He would always throw these deep, thoughts at me about, and it was almost always about forward thinking.
Right.
And
I feel like time stopped when he talked. When he dropped, then you just kind of like.
I did.
Whoa.
He's my father's alive. He is
Right.
a wise man, and he's just a grumpy old man. Sorry, Pop.
Yeah.
And he would throw golden nuggets about future.
Right.
And my wife always is like, gosh, you're always thinking about like the future. Like just focus on today.
Right.
And she's right. I think that can be a struggle.
Yeah.
And
no
so
doubt.
for me, I mean, I love developments. I do have a couple developments. I do enjoy new construction.
Yeah.
I do have the office as the OP. That's a totally different challenge and beast.
Right. For some of the people who are listening, what's an OP?
So operating principal.
Okay.
I run the Winston-Salem office. And when I say I run, I technically shouldn't be the one running the day-to-day.
Right.
I oversee it, essentially. I'm
Right.
Financially responsible for it.
Hmm.
And to that point, it's really shown me some of my leadership flaws. So it's made me grow
Right.
a lot.
Yeah.
And every time you fail, you're like, oh, well, that kind of hurts. I'm going to try not to do that again.
Right.
And then it's frankly one of the first times in my life where I failed at the same thing twice in a short period of time and went, oh, wow, okay, so that's really rare. Like, usually I think that most talented people try never to fail at the same thing, right? You just,
Right.
like, okay, lesson learned, I'm not going to do that same mistake.
Right.
And that's when you know it's a tall task, it's a hard role.
Sure.
And you have learning to do.
Yeah, and for the listeners, failed office. You took it over in 2015. 2017, it became the #1 office in Winston-Salem.
Even with my failings of
Exactly.
hiring and of running it,
Right.
honestly, due to illness, we found ourselves needing hiring, and
Right.
and I bluntly, I have opportunity there, and
So what was that opportunity? Because, sometimes in life, things come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, no one could have planned any of this, right? So where was the opportunity in that to where, I guess it's more in the system now. What was that?
So this, I did not anticipate this coming, but I'm going to get like real with you now.
Listen, that's why I wish we had more time. We would go super deep.
I mean, I didn't see this coming.
Yes. I got tissue in here.
I'm going to try not, I'm going to tend not to cry here.
Go for it.
So I think that I've always valued realness from Ohio. Like Ohioans call it blunt.
Yeah.
But honesty, truthfulness, real, all those words.
Yeah.
I think, and I've considered myself an authentic person. With being the operating principal and the task of at 34 running an office and being responsible for an office that had failed.
Yeah.
And now I went and got some great producers to jump on board with me.
Right.
Which was way younger than I anticipated, right? And fast forward 2 years of just kind of getting lucky with people, some of that talent that came on board helping us grow.
Right.
Now I'm 36 and I need to be a leader and I need to run an office and I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I had hired for my team. I'd hired for other things, but this is hiring leaders, like the person who's supposed to day to day run your office and other positions that essentially are leaders is a challenge, and it's more than just following a process. It's volume, it's quantity of interviews, of phone calls, of it. It was. For a guy who prides himself on a high work ethic, on working his tail off, I don't think I worked hard enough at talking to enough people, and I don't think I was real enough with myself at the time to say like, look, dude, it's okay. You don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Ask more help. Ask for more help. Talk to more people,
right.
And flat out say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. So like. Tell me your failings. Let me learn from you.
Yep.
And I don't know. I'm normally pretty good at that. For whatever reason, I think I needed at 36 maybe. I was trying to mask my immaturity and insecurity, and I didn't reach out enough and get real enough with everybody. My office, with my friends, with my peers, with everyone. And because of that, it took me, frankly, 2 years to hit that authenticity that it takes to find that next leader.
Right. So when you say you couldn't get real with yourself, or you couldn't get real in that moment with your peers, your people, what do you mean by that? Just that man, I might need some help?
Yeah, I think I didn't want to talk about how much I didn't know, right? I mean, you don't know. That I really didn't go to school for it, right? There really wasn't any. If I'm just gonna be super blunt,
we had home ec,
right? We did. Yeah. It totally taught us how. And I have a BFA in theater, man. I should have been prepared to act like I knew what I was doing.
True, yeah.
And I think that's exactly what I was doing. I was acting like a guy.
Which carried you for 2 years.
It did. And it did. And we grew.
Yeah, right. Number one.
So, I mean, kind of lucky.
Yeah.
But, no, I think that it takes real confidence to say, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. White flag.
White flag. Help me.
Yep. Did you, when you came into those moments, and as you were raising that white flag, did you have any flashbacks of some of those wisdom quotes that came from your dad?
I think if it weren't for my dad, I don't think I would have had the confidence to jump into it.
Right.
So yes, I mean, I honestly, absolutely, and I never doubted my intention in my heart, and therefore I knew, heart can carry you.
Right.
but so long.
Yeah.
Right? But so long.
Right.
And it did carry us, not mine, but everyone's in my market center. And we did grow. And that's what makes me so excited is we are number one in our area. And if I'm being honest, that's with a guy who just admitted he had no idea what he was doing.
Right. So now what is it going to be?
Look out.
Yeah.
And we do.
Yeah.
We've got major talent coming on board, and we're in a so much better place. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for the future now.
Yeah. So I think that resonates. Man, it's kind of cool how that's kind of a universal thing. Even for the newer agent, their heart has to carry them at first because they don't know what they're doing. For the new business owner who decides that they want to open up a business, no matter what it might be, the heart kind of has to carry them because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, it does make sense that you need someone to kind of lean on and raise your white flag and say, God, just tell me what you failed at. Is there even a system to this? Because you don't even know what you don't know at that point.
Ruben, I'm going to take you to my sophomore year in college. My acting teacher, K. Jenny Jones, said, everybody has there's three things you could lead with. You can lead with your heart, you can lead with your heart, you can lead with your head, or you can lead with your will. Very few people lead with their will. Blake, I think you lead with your will. I remember laughing. And I'm not sure she was wrong, especially at 19. And you have to, in the beginning, lead with your heart and, frankly, your will.
Yeah. Because
your head isn't there yet.
Yep. Yeah. And where was that? That was in New York?
That was at Cincinnati's Conservatory of Music.
Okay.
I was 19.
Wow. Would you have ever at 19, what did it look like for you? When you just sat back as 19 and that was your path, what did it look like for success for you? Like,
yeah, I mean, I was in school to become a Broadway actor. And I got into Cincinnati at that time was the number one school for Broadway performing, for musical theater. So, I got there and I was like, I mean, cool, I'm in the number one school. Quickly realized I was like I was 13 out of 13 in my class. Like I might have been the worst one in my class. So I was going to have to work very hard to improve upon that.
Sure.
And I did. And by the time I graduated, I got an agent, and I was actually one of the first guys in my class to get a Broadway show.
Nice.
And hard work rewarded, justified, whatever word you want to use. That being said, I never felt at home in that profession. It always felt like I was actually acting with my acting friends. Do you know what I mean? Like in that world, It wasn't home to me. And when I started getting into real estate, I just loved controlling your own destiny.
Yeah.
And I've always loved houses. And that, it's funny, the moment I started walking into real estate offices, it felt like home.
Yeah.
And so at 19, I was fully committed to where I needed to be at that time, right? Fast forward, essentially 4 years I got into real estate, 4 years later I get into real estate, and 4 years after that it's totally taken over my passion for what I knew since I was like 5.
Yeah.
So, I guess the moral of the story is you don't know at 19, but I was 100% committed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all that matters. I was 100% committed.
So then why acting? Because it sounds like, and you said it in class that I believe it was your mom who told you, listen, you've been drawing houses since you could pick up a crayon. Architect seems to be your thing. Maybe that might be a good path. Then where did it come along the lines of, I want to get on Broadway. I want to do acting.
So I was a good singer, and at like 10,
Still sing?
I haven't sung in forever, man.
You might have to close this out.
Dude, I haven't sung in forever. Seriously. And I'm getting over cold, so I'm making excuses. But it's true story. I sang in a talent show fifth grade. In fourth grade, my voice changed. I was way earlier than everybody else. And my choir teacher was like, I need you not to sing.
Oh, man.
You're
so
singing
would you hum in the back? Or?
An octave below everybody.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. I don't like it. And then fifth grade,
man.
I entered a talent show because my sister was in a choir, and I I wanted to join that choir. I think I joined that choir. It was a community choir. And then I got to do a talent show, and I made it to the finals. And then the next year I won it. And it's funny, that same teacher put me in front of the school and let me sing For the Longest Time by Billy Joel. The next year, she didn't want me singing in the choir, but she let me sing a solo in front of the whole school.
Yeah.
And all my friends growing up remember that, and I remember that as my first, like, well, maybe this is what I should do. And then the future was almost decided for me. Nobody said, like, my parents definitely never pressured me. It was never, It was just, oh, I guess I'm good at this. I guess this is what I should do. You know the question, how long are you willing to fail at something before?
Man, I feel like that, yes, I'll let you, and then.
That's a key question for me, right?
Yeah.
And I think people have different opinions on how that should be answered.
Yeah. Right.
Mine is not long. Not long. And if I'm not good at it, unless I have a true yearning for it,
right,
I'm probably dumping it.
Yeah.
I mean, piano, tried it 3 different times, failed all 3 times, quit too soon.
Done.
Basically, clarinet, didn't like it, moved to saxophone. Saxophone, moved to drums.
Dude, I could totally see a saxophone in your hand.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's totally, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I didn't practice it, and therefore, and it didn't come naturally.
Right.
So, moral of the story, if it didn't come naturally to me, I dumped it. And I'm not proud of that personality trait. It's just it is me.
Right.
And so singing came naturally. Acting, yes, but I had to work actually a little harder at that than singing.
Yeah.
And same with dance. And so because of that, that was my decision. That was my career.
Right. Yeah. What have you pulled from the acting world into the real estate world? What are some stuff that you have learned there that you now use?
So I want to say this to anyone who's a parent to a child who's thinking of getting into acting. It's actually the best business major, aside from being a business major.
Really?
Because
why do you say that?
Fearlessness. If you aren't fearless of rejection, I was rejected thousands of times.
Yeah.
Thousands of times. I mean, an actor is rejected every day. Every day.
Right.
And they wake up every day going, today I'm not going to be rejected.
Right.
Even though there's a 1 out of a several thousand chance that's true. They're going to be rejected most likely. And they just keep doing it for those few times that they're not. Right. And I think that's a great business training. My mother said to me a few years ago, we're not all wired like you, Blake. Some of us have fear. I remember kind of getting mad, like, what? Of course I have fear. Like, how dare you think I don't have fear?
Yeah.
But it was cool. And I mean, I think she meant it as a compliment.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
The truth is, of course I have fear, right?
Right.
But acting taught me to be way more fearless than I've ever thought I could be.
So fear comes in to a lot of people, right? And it's how they internalize it. And they can use it as power, or they can just be defeated by it. Mm-hmm. What would you say? Fear, because of what you've learned in there, fear enters you, or you start to feel nervous about something. How do you react to that? Because a lot of people listening to this, like when in any type of coaching with any business, I'm like, okay, by the way, you're going to fall, and you're going to fall a lot, and there's going to be a lot of failure. Mm-hmm. There, said it. Just know it's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
And there's going to be scary times, and I want to kind of say how I adjust to it. I really want to hear what you, especially with your background, and it's really taught you to kind of be fearless. Fear, rejection, all that's coming into you. You're scared a little bit. How do you internalize that, and how do you use it for power?
So, I think my siblings would say I don't think he does.
Oh, have fear?
No, my mom said that, but no, I think my siblings would say I don't think he internalizes it. I think he just tries not to think about it too much, and they're not wrong. I think that sometimes fear can be magnified when you stop and scrutinize
Right.
Sometimes it is best to not overthink it, right? And to understand, like you said, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
The most successful people just happen to fail faster than others, and obviously learned from them.
Right.
I think that from it's a cheap sidestepping answer to your question, but I don't think if I'm being honest with you, I don't know if I really contemplate or think about, what happens if I fail.
Right.
I don't even allow my mind to think of that. Do I tend to, we talk about building a bench, right? So if we fail with hiring, you have a bench.
Right.
But if we're talking about getting something done,
right,
failure not being an option is my approach. And not to say that I don't expect to hit failures.
Right.
I just refuse to think that it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then when it does happen, you adjust and move quickly.
Yeah. So Grant Cardone says, if you want to beat fear, don't give it time.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah. That's way more eloquent of my rambling.
That's the dang books I'm reading. It's not me. But yeah, I was like, because he said the more you think about it, the more you start creating outcomes that 99.9999% is not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And you're scaring yourself. He said you want to starve fear, don't feed it time. He said something like that.
I love that. And I completely agree. And that doesn't, if people think you're fearless, cool. But the reality is, everyone has fears.
Right.
But I completely agree with starving them.
Yeah.
Just don't, when they happen, adjust, move on.
Yep. Yeah. I've started looking at fear, or if you're uncomfortable about something, or you're like, oh man, I'm going to screw this up for probably X amount of time, but I will get a hang of it.
Bam.
Yes. I find that, man, it's like there's been opportunity every single time on the other side of that. Mm-hmm. And now, anytime I get a little scared, or I'm like, oh, that's going to be super uncomfortable, I get a little excited, because I feel like that's just life, gut checking you. Are you going to move forward? Mm-hmm. Are you going to move forward? There's rewards on the other side. Yep. And I don't know. I start feeling that. I start feeling really good about it.
I think that, spinning what some think of as a negative, and it's a positive.
Right.
Anything in life that can be a potential negative could be a potential positive. Right. It's all, it's in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm. But you'll never know if you don't take action.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
All right. So you also, one of the agents brought up, what's your big vision? And you mentioned at least 20 of the people in your office, or your people?
My world.
Your world. Right.
I think I even said Winston. I don't want to just say Winston, right? It's the life, the world I live in, mm-hmm. right? The people I know.
Yeah. And you said the number 20. So creating wealth in their life. Why is that important to you to create wealth in 20 people's lives that come in touch with you?
So my belief is that money doesn't change you, it magnifies you.
Yep.
And the people that I obviously want to impact in this positive way is for the impact that they will then have on the world, on their families, on their world.
Right.
And if you can make if you can be significant to 20 people, 20 good people,
yeah,
then each one of those 20 people can be significant to 20 other people, including, and including their families and friends. You're touching some lives. You're making you're being significant.
Yeah. Did something happen? And I don't know. It's just me asking the question. Did something happen in your life where it made that switch, where it was like, well, I want to, you know what? Because there's legacy involved with that too, right?
Yeah. I was 31 when Jack was born, and 38. Actually, I was 37 when Marin was born. I just turned 38. And it's funny how age Like I wasn't ready to think about these things when Jack was born, and my business was totally different. And when my daughter was born this past February, it really got me thinking about why do I do what I do? Like, why have I made the choices, business choices, life choices that I've made? And what is the impact that I want to make on their lives and therefore other people's lives? And I wasn't ready to have those thoughts and have those conversations with myself when Jack was born. In fact, at that point in time, I was like getting ready to work a ton.
Right.
And I'm a different phase of life. It's crazy what a difference the 7 years was there. And I was ready. I was ready to have those conversations with myself and what the impact that I want to make on not just my family's lives, but other people's lives.
Right. And would you say that you've attached time to that? Time is just, I guess, what's that old saying? You listen when you show up to the teacher, or the teacher's always there. What is that? I'm going to screw that all up.
I hope that I don't. I mean, my answer to that is, honestly, I haven't attached time to it. I haven't said it's going to be in X years.
Right.
I think for me, when I opened the office at 34, I was like, I'm going to be retired at 50. I don't know why I threw that out there. I just thought I would be.
Yeah.
It wasn't important to me. And now I can tell you, I'm going to be, I mean, how old's Marion going to be? She's not even out of high school. In fact, I'm not even sure she's in high school.
Yeah.
So that's obviously changed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, frankly, it was never really important to me when I quote unquote retire. In real estate, do we ever retire?
Right.
So I stopped. I'm unable to put dates
Right.
in the impact
Sure.
that I want to have.
No, and I get that. Say you've done that. You've created wealth in 20 people's lives. The market center's flourishing. You've probably already given up the OP role, and now there's a rock star OP who's crushing you, right?
Yeah. You hope.
Yeah, right. And your business is doing really good. You got the CEO in charge or the director of operations, and they're crushing it. You pick your head up. What's next?
You know you're in the thick of it when you struggle with. I mean, I will say that I didn't just draw houses; I drew neighborhoods. So I do love developments. I would like to make an impact on not just people's lives, but the city's life.
Right.
Absolutely no to politics.
Okay. I was going to say, is this where we hear that you're running from?
No, absolutely no to politics.
Right.
I would just no, but impact in other ways. So,
Sure.
If that means, being on boards and helping physically change Winston and potentially other cities, cool. I think for me, that's probably when I say impacting lives, maybe more than just physically in person with them, it would be the physical nature of the city.
Right. So in how it looks and how it's put together and
what the future, the growth and how your life is in the city, perhaps.
Why? And now obviously you've grown a strong business there. You've got to know a lot of people. But why that so much loyalty to Winston-Salem and changing its face? And
man, there's something crazy about that city. It's so small. It's not, right? It's like 400,000 people if you take the burbs, but it feels so small.
Right.
In a good way. And I think
Sure.
some people think that's a slap. No, Winston likes feeling small.
Right.
And it's made choices to remain that way. And I don't disagree with some of those choices. I do disagree with the some of the fiscal business choices of growth in Winston. And yes, I get that you can't have both sides.
Right.
I just think there's like anything, it's a compromise.
Right.
And Winston's like North Myrtle. We got this infrastructure of roadways with no buildings,
Right.
and we're building these bridges, and we've got we're building the bypasses and we're building all this infrastructure. I'm like, so what's coming?
Right.
And
maybe someone's got an ace in their sleeve, right? And they're like, and bam!
That'd be
Because
cool.
we got the baseball stadium, and it was like, whoa, okay, so I guess that's probably some of the reason why all the bypasses and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, and we have changed. A lot of leadership has changed in Winston,
Right?
And so I think the city is absolutely on the rise. It's a great place to raise your kids.
Right.
From that perspective, I'm 100% thrilled that we're there.
Yeah.
And I mean, were we there for? There was a rumor actually that I was moving to Wilmington last year. One of my fellow brokers in another firm started this rumor. I found out.
For fun?
Yeah, right. I guess I have no idea where that came from. And although I love Wilmington, no, I'm not. Right, I'm not, and I'm not for at least probably another 17 years
right.
until my daughter graduates high school, and maybe then. But I'm probably not. I mean, I love Winston.
Yeah. They both start with W. There's some connection there, man.
I mean, maybe they just got confused between Winston and Wilmington.
Well, I'm going to hit you with a few questions because we don't have much time. So it's kind of a lightning round, I guess.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to shoot you with a few questions. Well, you've answered that one. Okay. What have you gotten better to saying no to?
At this point in my life, I think I've said no to social life, which isn't necessarily a great thing.
Yeah.
We're working on that.
Well, we're going to have a social event right after this podcast.
Score.
Right?
See? It's a start.
So, wow. So that's kind of just, that came because of, so that is that always what's next. And if you're always thinking what's next, you're always in action.
Yeah.
And so, by the way, while I was growing up, I decided to cut social life out, but I also knew that there was no substance, and not my social life now. And even then, I don't really go out too much. But there's not much substance in that. And it's like, so you kind of look at the conversation and the people that are involved, and you're like, so what's next for everyone? Like, is this is how deep we're gonna get?
Small talk, totally. I've always struggled with small talk. And look, when you have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old, I had to think about that. 6-year-old and 6-month-old. And yes, we are old parents. I mean, 38 and 42. We're relatively old to be having kids that age. We've lived a good life. I mean, we've traveled all over the world. We've been Broadway performers. And I love my wife. So I mean, ultimately, I choose to come home and most nights just be with them, and I'm good with that. At some point in the near future, we'll have a social life.
Yeah,
I don't know what that looks like, but we will.
Probably on a cruise ship.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. It's the first time we've heard that on the podcast, and it makes. I mean, after you sit in it for a second, it makes sense.
I have friends. I think. I think
you definitely got friends. You got friends here in Fayetteville, for sure.
Thanks, man.
No doubt. All right, so you can't choose acting when I ask this question, okay?
Okay.
What profession other than your own would be fun to attempt?
Architecture.
No, you can't.
I can't say architecture?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, and I should have threw that in there before I asked the question.
Ooh,
what profession other than your own would be fun to attempt?
Professional golfer.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm
You're
terrible.
Just throwing that out there.
I'm terrible. I mean, but if I mean this. If I could do something every day of my life, all day, it would be golf.
What do you get out of golf? So, just real quick, I got an injury while I was working out, and my arm was killing me, and I was like, oh, what is this? And so, naturally, I don't go to the doctor. I go to Google, because that's what's going to tell me what's wrong.
Of course.
And it said golfer's elbow. And I was like, 1, I can't stand golf. And 2, now it's hurting me. It's physically hurting me, which was the inside of your elbow, I guess.
What's usually referred to as tennis elbow.
No, tennis is on the other side.
Oh, okay. Golfer's elbow's on the inside.
This is all I've learned on Google.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So
yeah, what do you get out of golf?
Golf is my escape, right? I am completely out of the world when I golf. I think about that stupid little white ball and my terrible swing, and putting it in that silly little hole. And I think it's like it is. It's a true escape. It's a true escape.
Yeah. Okay.
It's escape from the world I'm in, which is actually I don't dislike it. I don't know why I'm escaping it, but I do. I love to escape it.
Yeah.
And go into my own misery of my terrible swing.
Yeah. No. So yes, I get it. I was talking to someone else who owns it's called Guide and Wellness Institute here, and they're very yin and yang. And actually, she was my coach last year.
Cool.
Yeah, I had 3 coaches last year. It's just, I'm all messed up. And she said there has to be a yin and yang for everything. So I loved growing KW here as a TL. And on the weekends, I loved turning it off.
Yes.
You know?
You have to.
And that's what she said. She was like, yeah, but you understand you have to do that. That's just life's balance. You have to do this yin and yang thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what golf does for you.
Yes, and my wife is incredibly awesome to allow me to almost every week. She says, "All right, fine." I don't see you. You know, she sees me a lot more, but you know, I'd say that's the thing about golf is it's 5 hours, right? So for 5 hours, she's like, "I'm gonna be here with the kids, like I was all week." Bye, jerk.
Yeah.
You know, and
so you bring her home flowers you picked from the side of the green somewhere?
This is how you know when you've been with somebody for 16 years. I come home and she says, "All right, my turn. Bye."
Hey, and you're like, tag team.
Totally get it.
Yep.
Totally get it.
100%. Totally get it. All right. You answered these. Okay. Purchases of less than $100 that have most improved your life. Don't say golf balls or anything like that.
For $100?
Yeah. Purchases of less than $100 that have most improved your life.
Dude, these are good questions.
Dude, I stole them.
Wow. That should be like...
Tim Ferriss, man. He's a beast.
Why did that stump me? I'll be honest and say my wife makes most of the purchasing in our house.
Yeah.
That's probably why it's stumping me.
Amazon.
Yeah. So... I'm going to go with my phone case, the silly little OtterBox.
Okay.
Because I dropped the crap out of my phone.
Yeah.
And it would break.
Let's see it now.
And by the way, I ran it over and it did break. You can't run this over.
Anybody who's listening, see, this is why you should watch the YouTube video too. Yeah, it looks perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Not a scratch on this thing. Looks amazing.
Yeah. See, OtterBox. I just did a plug for the OtterBox.
That's an Apple though.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. What question, since I've kind of peppered you with questions, what question do you have for me?
So, what's the first thing you think about when you wake up?
Oh, crap. This morning I was like, oh, my back hurts.
Physical pain.
Yeah. Man, there's not much going through my head when I first wake up. That's a good question. Because
you sleep well.
Yeah, and I'm prepared, right? So, like, when I wake up in the morning, my clothes are already... See, these clothes are in a bag this morning in the back of my Jeep. Right? Put there from last night because I know I'm going to the gym in the morning. Mm-hmm. This coat was already in the Jeep. My lunch is already packed. My podcasting equipment was already in the Jeep ready to go. So when I wake up, I don't know if I think about a lot. I already know the day before I'm prepared for today. So there's not much weighing on the line. Is that a cop-out?
No. That's actually very telling of your personality. And that's awesome.
Yes.
And the last thought before you go to bed most nights?
Well, now, because my wife's pregnant, and she's spitting out a human being in like 2 weeks.
Congrats, man. I had no idea.
Yes, thank you. It's the safety, right? Because one, kind of freaked out when I see a human body moving inside of another human body through the skin.
So alien.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa. But, there's a lot there's a lot that comes with that, because you're thinking of the safety of the baby, and you're thinking of the safety of your wife, and you're thinking of the future. So right now, it's definitely that, because she's 2 weeks before she spits out a human. I know this is weird. My wife says, quit saying it like that. you know, but there's a lot. It's uncomfortable. So that's the only thing I focus. She's because she rocks and before she finally goes to sleep. So that's the last thing that's on my mind is safety. It's just health, you know, right now.
So I did know that, and it totally does engulf your world of thoughts when you are looking at the person you love carrying this thing that you know you're going to love, you know, just unbelievable amounts. But so everybody tells you, but you haven't met this person yet.
That's right. We had this conversation, like, and just to get like completely transparent, I had a call from a friend, and they're like, you know, baby was just born, and they felt bad because they didn't love the baby. And I was like, dude, you just met the baby. Yeah. Like, love doesn't just switch on. It just doesn't. I mean, some people have it where they're in love, but just wait till they hug you for the first time. I remember the first time my first daughter hugged me. Like, that's when I was like, oh, love just hit me like a ton of bricks, you know? I remember her little body trying to squeeze me. Like, that was huge. So, you just, you know, to wait till that day happens.
Expectations. Mm-hmm. Honestly, everybody can't help but have expectations.
Right.
And they are dangerous. And some people really struggle with postpartum depression.
Right.
Some people, yes, that child will be loved, right?
Right, no doubt.
In time.
Yep.
And for some people, it's immediately. And for some people, there's like resentment. There's all kinds of emotions that are real.
Yep.
And it's not anyone's fault or problem. It's just real. And I think expectations can be a problem.
Yeah.
And when it comes to childbirth, that child's gonna be loved in time.
So that was external expectations, right? But when him and I had that conversation, I set a new expectation. Mm-hmm. You know, and sometimes expectations, depending who it's delivered from, can be a lot of benefit. Mm-hmm. And I was like, listen, dude, just give us some time, I promise. And now he's got custody. Because, anyways, we won't even go.
Wow. Yeah, that's a whole nother side.
Yeah. It's huge, but I'll say one thing, and like one thing that's tripping me out in the conversation before we go to bed is how you can, growing a human in 9 or 10 months blows me away. Enough where they have consciousness, and like just everything connecting where they're going to be their own person, their own life. It's just, I don't know, man. That's definitely before I go to bed because there's so much out there. And for the person who thinks they know it all, done. You're done. Because there's so much to learn. It may not be in your industry, but this one, this is, you know, like
biggest job of life is growing another. You know, if you choose to have children, and a lot of folks don't, and that's if you choose to have children. I don't care what you've done. Mm-hmm. That's your job. That's your number one job, and how ultimately the legacy is written there. Mm-hmm. And you hopefully will write other legacies.
Yep.
But that's a key part and a key component of your legacy. Mm-hmm. But you control only so much.
Yeah, because they're their own person. Right. And you'll find that, like, because I have a 12-year-old that I raised her by myself since she was 3 weeks. And there was like, you push, you kind of have these conversations. And I didn't know how to coach back then, so it was just telling instead of asking the right questions for them to realize what they should be doing.
Which takes patience.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And they still make their own decision at the end of it. You're like, man, this is their own person, which goes back to what you said in the beginning, which is how often do you let them fail before you take them out of something? Because, man, that's a delicate balance where you're like, no, keep going, keep trying. Like, you don't want them to become a quitter, and at the same time, it might not even be their jam. Like, you gotta figure that out.
Right. Help them figure that out.
Yes.
And as a parent, let them fail, right? And that's right. And you hear every parent say it. Letting a child fail is very, very hard.
Yeah.
Letting yourself fail is easy.
Yeah.
Letting your child fail is very hard.
Yeah. And would you say that it becomes easy for you to fail because of all the failures you had in the past?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's why it's important for them to fail. So, last question. What question do you have for everyone listening and watching?
Was this valuable?
Was this valuable?
I mean, I think it's a question that you always ask. Like, I ask myself every day. How can I bring value to whatever it is that I'm doing? And I think that if people live that way, if you live that way, that's the significance and the impact that I think everybody wants to have. We all want to have a significance and impact.
Right.
And you never know how it's going to come, though. And
right.
And how you can bring value. I think that's why it's good to plan out your outfit. It's good to have clear mindset. But having expectations of how you want to add value sometimes can be a hindrance, and always curious as to, do you add value and how can you add value more?
Right. So did you get, everyone who's listening, watching, did you get value out of this? And I can tell that it is something that rocked your head a little bit, because as you came in today, even in Mastermind with all our agents, first question you asked was, what do you guys want to talk about today? So I make sure you leave a value. It's the first thing, bam, there go the things that everyone wants to discuss. I love it, man. Well, guys, people who are listening, hate to cut this one short. We have another obligation we're going to go to right afterwards. If you guys got value out of this, and I trust you did, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss another one. Along with, go to YouTube at Proven by Ruben and subscribe there as well. And Blake, you the man. Thank you so much for jumping on today, brother.
This is fun, man. Thank you for having me.
You got it, man.
Boom. That was short.